英語聞き流しリスニング、英語テキストと MP3 ダウンロード、その他の物語はホームページからお聞きいただけます。88thpp.com 88thpp.com
10th June. Dear Daddy, this is the hardest letter I ever wrote, but I have decided what I must do, and there isn't going to be any turning back. It is very sweet and generous and dear of you to wish to send me to Europe this summer. For the moment I was intoxicated by the idea, but sober second thoughts said no. It would be rather illogical of me to refuse to take your money for college, and then use it instead just for amusement. You mustn't get me used to too many luxuries. One doesn't miss what one has never had, but it's awfully hard going without things after one has commenced thinking they are his, hers. English language needs another pronoun, by natural right. Living with Sally and Julia is an awful strain on my stoical philosophy. They have both had things from the time they were babies. They accept happiness as a matter of course. The world, they think, owes them everything they want. Maybe the world does. In any case, it seems to acknowledge the debt and pay up. But as for me, it owes me nothing, and distinctly told me so in the beginning. I have no right to borrow on credit, for there will come a time when the world will repudiate my claim. I seem to be floundering in a sea of metaphor, but I hope you grasp my meaning. Anyway, I have a very strong feeling that the only honest thing for me to do is to teach this summer and begin to support myself. Magnolia. 4 days later. I got just that much written, when, what do you think happened? The maid arrived with Master Jervy's card. He is going abroad too this summer, not with Julia and her family, but entirely by himself. I told him that you had invited me to go with a lady who is chaperoning a party of girls. He knows about you, Daddy. That is, he knows that my father and mother are dead, and that a kind gentleman is sending me to college. I simply didn't have the courage to tell him about the John Grier home and all the rest. He thinks that you are my guardian and a perfectly legitimate old family friend. I have never told him that I didn't know you, that would seem too queer. Anyway, he insisted on my going to Europe. He said that it was a necessary part of my education and that I mustn't think of refusing. Also, that he would be in Paris at the same time, and that we would run away from the chaperone occasionally and have dinner together at nice, funny, foreign restaurants. Well, Daddy, it did appeal to me. I almost weakened. If he hadn't been so dictatorial, maybe I should have entirely weakened. I can be enticed step by step, but I won't be forced. He said I was a silly, foolish, irrational, quixotic, idiotic, stubborn child. Those are a few of his abusive adjectives. The rest escape me, and that I didn't know what was good for me. I have to let older people judge. We almost quarreled. I am not sure but that we entirely did. In any case, I packed my trunk fast and came up here. I thought I'd better see my bridges in flames behind me before I finished writing to you. They are entirely reduced to ashes now. Here I am at Cliff Top, the name of Mrs. Patterson's cottage, with my trunk unpacked, and Florence, the little one, already struggling with first declension nouns. And it bids fair to be a struggle. She is a most uncommonly spoiled child. I shall have to teach her first how to study. She has never in her life concentrated on anything more difficult than ice cream soda water. We use a quiet corner of the cliffs for a schoolroom. Mrs. Patterson wishes me to keep them out of doors, and I will say that I find it difficult to concentrate with the blue sea before me and ships sailing by. And when I think I might be on one, sailing off to foreign lands, but I won't let myself think of anything but Latin grammar. The prepositions a or ab, absque, coram, cum, de e or ex, pre, pro, sin, tenus, in, subter, sub and super govern the ablative. So you see, Daddy, I am already plunged into work with my eyes persistently set against temptation. Don't be cross with me, please, and don't think that I do not appreciate your kindness, for I do, always, always. The only way I can ever repay you is by turning out a very useful citizen. Are women citizens? I don't suppose they are, anyway, a very useful person. And when you look at me you can say, I gave that very useful person to the world. That sounds well, doesn't it, Daddy? But I don't wish to mislead you. The feeling often comes over me that I am not at all remarkable. It is fun to plan a career, but in all probability I shan't turn out a bit different from any other ordinary person. I may end by marrying an undertaker and being an inspiration to him and his work. Yours ever, Judy. 19th August. Dear Daddy Longlegs. My window looks out on the loveliest landscape, oceanscape, rather, nothing but water and rocks. The summer goes. I spend the morning with Latin and English and algebra and my two stupid girls. I don't know how Marion is ever going to get into college or stay in after she gets there. And as for Florence, she is hopeless, but oh, such a little beauty. I don't suppose it matters in the least whether they are stupid or not so long as they are pretty. One can't help thinking, though, how their conversation will bore their husbands, unless they are fortunate enough to obtain stupid husbands. I suppose that's quite possible. The world seems to be filled with stupid men. I've met a number this summer. In the afternoon we take a walk on the cliffs, or swim, if the tide is right. I can swim in salt water with the utmost ease. You see, my education is already being put to use. A letter comes from Mr. Jervis Pendleton in Paris, rather a short, concise letter. I'm not quite forgiven yet for refusing to follow his advice. However, if he gets back in time, he will see me for a few days at Lock Willow before college opens, and if I am very nice and sweet and docile, I shall, I am led to infer, be received into favor again. Also a letter from Sally. She wants me to come to their camp for 2 weeks in September. Must I ask your permission, or haven't I yet arrived at the place where I can do as I please? Yes, I am sure I have. I'm a senior, you know. Having worked all summer, I feel like taking a little healthful recreation. I want to see the Adirondacks. I want to see Sally. I want to see Sally's brother. He's going to teach me to canoe, and we come to my chief motive, which is mean. I want Master Jervy to arrive at Lock Willow and find me not there. I must show him that he can't dictate to me. No one can dictate to me but you, Daddy, and you can't always. I'm off for the woods. Judy. Camp McBride, 6th September. Dear Daddy. Your letter didn't come in time, I am pleased to say. If you wish your instructions to be obeyed, you must have your secretary transmit them in less than 2 weeks. As you observe, I am here, and have been for 5 days. The woods are fine, and so is the camp, and so is the weather, and so are the McBrides, and so is the whole world. I'm very happy. There's Jimmy calling for me to come canoeing. Goodbye, sorry to have disobeyed, but why are you so persistent about not wanting me to play a little? When I've worked all the summer I deserve 2 weeks. You are awfully dog-in-the-mangerish. However, I love you still, Daddy, in spite of all your faults. Judy. 3rd October. Dear Daddy Longlegs. Back at college and a senior, also editor of the monthly. It doesn't seem possible, does it, that so sophisticated a person, just 4 years ago, was an inmate of the John Grier home? We do arrive fast in America. What do you think of this? A note from Master Jervy directed to Lock Willow and forwarded here. He's sorry, but he finds that he can't get up there this autumn. He has accepted an invitation to go yachting with some friends. Hopes I've had a nice summer and am enjoying the country. And he knew all the time that I was with the McBrides, for Julia told him so. You men ought to leave intrigue to women, you haven't a light enough touch. Julia has a trunk full of the most ravishing new clothes, an evening gown of rainbow Liberty crepe that would be fitting raiment for the angels in paradise. And I thought that my own clothes this year were unprecedentedly, is there such a word? Beautiful. I copied Mrs. Patterson's wardrobe with the aid of a cheap dressmaker, and though the gowns didn't turn out quite twins of the originals, I was entirely happy until Julia unpacked. But now, I live to see Paris. Dear Daddy, aren't you glad you're not a girl? I suppose you think that the fuss we make over clothes is too absolutely silly? It is. No doubt about it. But it's entirely your fault. Did you ever hear about the learned hair professor who regarded unnecessary adornment with contempt and favored sensible, utilitarian clothes for women? His wife, who was an obliging creature, adopted dress reform. And what do you think he did? He eloped with a chorus girl. Yours ever, Judy. P.S. The chambermaid in our corridor wears blue-checked gingham aprons. I'm going to get her some brown ones instead, and sink the blue ones in the bottom of the lake. I have a reminiscent chill every time I look at them.
英語聞き流しリスニング、英語テキストと MP3 ダウンロード、その他の物語はホームページからお聞きいただけます。88thpp.com 88thpp.com